9. Naughty Peter. Initial task. Have you ever done any naughty act in spite of your mother's instructions? What were the consequences that you got from the act? Were they good or bad? The children who don't follow the instructions of their parents always get punishment. Read the story of naughty Peter, who did not follow the instructions of his mother and got caught in the trouble. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank under the root of a very big fir tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I'm going out." Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella to the baker's shop. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. First, he ate some lettuces and some French beans and radishes. Feeling rather sick, when Peter searched for parsley, he saw the gardener, who started chasing him around. A chase was on. Mr. McGregor was after Peter. Peter lost one of his shoe among cabbages and other shoe amongst the potatoes. He couldn't remember how to get out of the garden. Next, Peter lost his jacket and dashed into the tool shed. Mr. McGregor heard him, so Peter quickly jumped out of a nearby window. Peter caught his breath and tried to calm down, and Mr. McGregor went back to gardening. Peter subsequently saw a mouse that was busy carrying peas to her family. Peter asked her the way to get to the gate, but she had such a large pie in her mouth that she couldn't speak. Feeling hopeless, Peter began to sob. Peter began to wander around the garden, trying to find his way back to the gate, when he saw a white cat sitting, looking over into a pond's water where a goldfish was swimming. The cat sat quietly watching the fish. Peter remembered what his cousin Benjamin Bunny had said about cats and decided to walk away. Peter heard the noise of a hoe and ran under some nearby bushes. Once he realized he was safe, he got onto a wheelbarrow and looked over to find Mr. McGregor working. Most importantly, right past him was the gate. Peter took a path behind bushes to get out, but Mr. Gregor spotted him. He continued to go under the gate and finally got out of the garden. Peter didn't stop running until he reached his house. When he did reach his house, he walked in and just lay on the floor exhausted. His mother noticed that He had misplaced his clothes and shoes. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. That night, the three good little bunnies, Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, received a nice meal of bread, milk, and blackberries for supper. Vocabulary: underneath, the underside, lane, a narrow road, hoe, a long-handled gardening tool with thin blade, wheelbarrow, a small open cart used to carrying loads in gardening. Grammatical structure: can and cannot. Can. Can is a modal verb. Can is used to express ability or to say that something is possible. For example, he can swim well. She can cook well. Cannot. To form a negative, we add not after can to form cannot. Cannot is used to show that something is not possible. For example, he cannot swim well. She cannot play the piano. Put can or cannot correctly in the following sentences. Let's listen. Listen to the following story of Hare and the Tortoise, which your teacher will tell. Draw 4 pictures on a drawing sheet and show it to your teacher. Once, a hare saw a tortoise walking slowly with a heavy shell on his back. The hare was very proud of himself and he asked the tortoise, "Shall we have a race?" The tortoise agreed. They started running the race. The proud hare ran very fast and slept off under a tree. The tortoise walked slowly and steadily and reached the goal. At last, the tortoise won the race.